Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back. So guys, we have some benchmarks results from Intel's new Core Ultra 5 225F 10 core CPU, but with 14 Core Ultra 5 235 equivalent performance. According to the news, there are still some Arrow Lake SKUs left for launch, which are mostly non-overclockable chips and at lower price, which includes Ultra 9, 7, 5 and 3, but with lower specs than already launched, and among them is the latest Core Ultra 5 225F SKU. According to the SKU lists, it is the lowest SKU among the Ultra 5 family that brings only 10 core compared to 14 core configuration of Ultra 235, 245, 245K and KF. However, the leaked benchmarks from Geekbench 6.3.0 for Windows shows some impressive number indeed for the processor that is the lowest in its category. They used Acer Aspire TC1860 motherboard, and the CPU scored 2653 points in single core and 13028 in multi-core test, and it's on par with Intel Core Ultra 235, which scored 2634 in single core and 13293 in multi-core. The 225F comes with 4 less efficient core than the Core Ultra 5 235, which makes the multi-core performance a bit impressive. Also, the clock speeds are also slightly lower than 235, which makes it indeed an impressive CPU. But also keep that in mind that 225 is without integrated graphics, which means the price will also be much lower than 235 and 225. Intel Core Ultra 225 comes with 6 performance and 4 efficient cores with 3.3 base and 4.9 boost clock for performance cores, and 2.7 base and 4.4 GHz boost for E cores, and a TDP of 65 watt, and supposedly bringing 20 MB of L3 cache instead of 21 MB that was told in previous leaks. And rumors also the launch is expected in early 2025 along with the other SKUs, if they meant to launch multiple SKUs, because Intel said that they are going to launch multiple SKUs that are already launched but with the lower specs like Core Ultra 9, 7, 5 and 3. Okay guys, next up today is that Intel Arc B580 Battlemage GPU spotted on Geekbench, and the card is packed with 20Xe2 cores with 12GB of VRAM and 2850 MHz clock speed. According to the news that these new GPUs are only few weeks away from launch, but Intel isn't talking about it much. Maybe it's not that impressive, and the preparations to launch some of these cards is in the next month. But one of the Intel Arc B580 leaks are confirming the launch, and the leaks are also suggesting that the new Intel Arc B580 specs are leaked and was used in configuration with the Core Ultra 9 285K and Gigabyte Z890 Aorus master motherboard. As we can see clearly in these benchmarks, the OpenCL bench shows a score of 78,743 points, which to be honest is not that impressive. And also to be noted point is that OpenCL is an older API. However, the Battlemage is tuned for modern APIs such as DirectX 12 Ultimate and Vulkan. OpenCL information shows that the GPU is based on Intel Xe architecture, and the GPU brings 160 compute units, which again equals to 20Xe2 cores, but 4 fewer cores than its predecessor. But again, since this is the new architecture and is hugely improved, so we don't know how much of the performance uplift we will see. Also, B580 is 12GB DDR6 and not 7, and with the 192-bit bus, 4GB increase in memory size, which translates into a slightly lower memory bandwidth due to narrow bus width, but higher memory size for 1080p resolution. And in the previous leak that ASRock has already prepared, its Arc B580 Steel Legend GPU, which was shortly appeared on Amazon, and brought two 8-pins connector and a triple fan design with the RGB lightning. And there was also a Challenger series B580 as well, which was a dual fan card with single 8-pin connector. Well guys, to be honest, I don't think so that these cards are that much good or impressive in terms of performance, but we will see when these card will launch. Okay guys, next up today is that ASRock states that Intel platform power management driver for Z890 motherboard improves Core Ultra 200 CPU performance, especially in games, and that we can see performance uplift up to 13.23%. And also states that the latest platform power management PPM drivers version 1007.20240.913 to be more specific can result in higher gaming performance, as we can see here in this Final Fantasy XIV down trail benchmark without and with Intel PPM yielding 29157 points without PPM and 33017 points with Intel PPM at 1080p high settings. This was tested in configuration of Intel Core Ultra 9285K paired with AMD RX 7900 XTX, and both being the flagship of Intel and AMD respectively. Also, it is to be noted that this PPM is deployed at a software level, unlike Intel's DLVR digital linear voltage regulator, where the PPM establishes the communication between the operating system and Intel platform power management feature, and such communication helps in smoother transitioning between high performance and low power states based on the system workload, and hence the feature is expected to increase the power efficiency of CPU and also maximizing the performance. Okay guys, next up today is that Nvidia GeForce RTX 5090D may retain full hardware specs of RTX 5090 unlike its predecessor 4090D. Nvidia won't make the RTX 5090 a worse hardware wise, but there is a catch and the difference may be seen in BIOS. So there is some interesting rumor surfaces on ChipHell, and Penzer Lied, a reliable leaker from ChipHell forum known for his leaks on Nvidia hardwares, claims that there won't have any significant differences in terms of hardware. And for those guys who don't know, 5090D, where D stands for the Dragon referencing the Chinese zodiac calendar, is a special version designed to circumvent the restrictions imposed by the US Department of Commerce on high performance processors exports to certain countries including China. And the 4090D has several differences including the lower core count and reduced TDP, all in and effort to meet the restrictions limit that is imposed by US Commerce Department. However, it seems like Nvidia has refined its approach, and the next gen RTX 5090D GPUs won't see hardware sacrifice. Instead of lowering the core count, Nvidia is expected to introduce changes to limit the performance in certain applications, and most likely changes will be seen in tensor performance, which lowers AI inference acceleration. While this won't impact gaming performance but affects the DLSS capabilities because they uses the tensor cores, and Nvidia finds a way to run DLSS on CUDA cores just to avoid this issue. But as of now, they are not changing the hardware, but they are doing some restrictions on the DLSS side, or you can say downclocking or restricting the tensor cores. The most obvious change in this case is lower default power limit and lower maximum power limit. Rumors are concerned the latter for RTX 5090 is 600 watt, whereas Nvidia could easily lower this value and prevent any changes, unless of course someone leaks the unrestricted BIOS. Rather than that, this is what we get with the 5090 600 watt. Nvidia is no stranger to BIOS limitations. In the old days when there was scalpers using the GPUs for hash rate and mining, but the company previously launched the LHR, as you have known, light hash rate series, where it was limited to certain performance issue hit, and the cards were not performing as it should be. So the LHR cards won't be used in the mining, and on the other hand, the other non-LHR were used for mining, and that's how Nvidia control and restricted the performance of certain GPU models. Same for the 5090D, as they will restrict the tensor, and also some of the DLSS will take the performance hit, so which restricts the crypto mining performance. However, this provided inefficient as developers quickly adapted algorithm to bypass the limitations. But who knows, this time Nvidia changed this, or again, like LHR method will be used or not. But it is not hard to say that there are people with good knowledge that can bypass the BIOS or the LHR limits. Next up today is that Intel will likely release a next CPU microcode update regarding the error leaks voltage frequency behavior. I hope guys that they don't mess things up this time, because last time we remember the 13 and 14 gen counterparts were a huge mess, so fingers crossed. Intel Arrow Lake CPU, which was seen a huge generational uplift but still didn't meet the expectation, which is why it was disappointment in the enthusiast eyes. But that also is not totally correct, because some customers are happy with their purchase. Of course, here and there are some issues, but not something that cannot be solved with a simple patch or microcode. As Intel Robert Hallock also acknowledges that in an interview with Hot Hardware, disclosing that Intel is indeed working on decisive updates targeting and fixing performance issue around the Arrow Lake lineup. It is also confirmed by a renowned overclocker, Skater Venture, that Intel is indeed planning to fine-tune Arrow Lake VF voltage frequency with microcode, but didn't mention what kind of changes will we see and what kind of changes they are planning on the new Arrow Lake voltage frequency side. Previously, a microcode update restricted the DLVR, or you can say the digital linear voltage regulator bypass, which users could do through the power gate setting in the BIOS. While this setting allowed more extensive control over voltage and frequency, it did tinker with other elements of the processor. So Team Blue has reserved the setting for extreme overclocking environments and will not be readily available for everyone. Okay guys, last up for today is that Intel new Arc Battlemage limited edition price is leaked, and it's $250 to $259 US. It may not be that expensive, but also it may not be that impressive in terms of gaming performance. It's true that Intel did polish their drivers, but it also depends upon the price and performance wise whether it will create a place of itself in the mainstream market or the consumer will like the product at all. According to Momomo US, the Intel Arc B580 limited edition graphics box with these serial numbers is priced for $250, and a quick check confirms that a US retailer does indeed list the card at $259.55 to be precise, and it is a new listing of boxed limited edition. But it is also worth noting that Arc A580 is now listed for as low as $169 US. So with the new model will undoubtedly be more expensive, but it also comes with more memory up to 12 GB. And that's it for today guys, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.